Hi there, welcome to episode number 8 of How to HR. Hope you're doing well and having a great week, and welcome back to this next episode of our How to HR series. For those of you who I don't know, hello, I'm Kristy-Lee. I'm the director and founder of a consultancy business known as the Footprint Group. I'm the host of the People Powered Business podcast and also the founder of the Your People Powered Business membership community. So super excited to be here with you today. And How to HR is our weekly video series where I give you bite-sized information that you can take and use in terms of building your team. We know that the number one way to having a business that gives you all the success you want, but also gives you some freedom from working 80 hours a week and being able to take a day off, you can't do that without a team. And you specifically can't do that without a great team. So the fastest way to get that business for you is to build the right team to begin with. And I love sharing these really practical tips with you each and every week, specifically designed for small to medium-sized businesses. This is not corporate HR speak that we share here in How to HR. This is really bite-sized, easy to digest, and easy to implement stuff for you. Now, before we dive into episode number 8, and we're talking about self-care today, one of my favorite topics, I do want to let you know that the People Powered Business membership is opening very, very soon. We are only a couple of weeks away from opening the doors, and those of you who have followed along this journey know that we only open a few times a year. We're not open all the time to welcome new members, and the end of March is one of those times. So if you would love to join us, we would love to have you there. I'm going to put a link underneath this video to join the waitlist. But if you just head over to peoplepoweredbusiness.com.au, you'll be able to join the waitlist right there, and you'll be the first to know when we are opening the doors. But sneak peek, 24th of March is the day you want to put in your diary. And I would love to welcome some of you who have been following along the How to HR series into the membership. So I just wanted to give you the sneaky heads up that that's on its way as well. Okay, so today on How to HR, we're talking about how to prioritize self-care to drive your team's performance. Your own self-care equaling better performing team. Does that sound counterintuitive to you? Possibly counterproductive? Does that make you a little squirmy and uncertain whether I'm actually telling the truth here? Remember when we used to be able to fly places? It seems like a distant memory. In fact, a memory came up in my feed today of the last time the family and I took a flight anywhere on Fitzroy Island. I do miss traveling, but do you remember those times when we could catch a flight? And do you remember, you may remember, some of you may be traveling domestically again, in the safety demos, in the safety videos, they tell us to fit our own oxygen mask before trying to help anyone around us, including our children. Now, for most of us parents, we would probably ignore that, but the reality is they tell us that for a reason. We cannot possibly help those around us if we are not safe and secure ourselves. Self-care is our fast track to that safety and security and that health and well-being for ourselves. If they can tell us that on an aircraft, why can't we just transition that? You can't be the best leader that you can be for your team if you are not looking after yourself. You can't pour from an empty cup. Your team needs you to show up and to lead them. They want to know what's expected. They want to know how they're doing against those expectations, and they want to see you leading by example. If you've ever felt burnout or exhaustion, or just like you didn't want to be there that day, come on, let me know, fess up. I know I've been there. You'll know what that feels like. Were you the best leader for your team that day? No way, not a chance. Have there been days when you just want to sit in your office and close the door? I bet they have. You couldn't, but you wanted to. And I bet your bottom dollar, you weren't the best leader on that day. The most successful leaders in the world prioritize self-care. It is part of their daily routine, part of their ritual that they will do each and every day. I can share this story because this is an experience I have had firsthand. This is not something I've read in a book and thought, yeah, that sounds about right. I've literally been there. When I started my business, turns 15 next week, by the way, cue the party. I literally had a motto, literally on my wall, that I was building the empire. I'm a pretty driven person at the best of times when I'm working for someone else or for myself. So this was intrinsic anyway. But I was proud. to be working all the hours. I was proud that all I did was work. In fact, I've shared with you before, and I've certainly shared on my podcast, that one of my favorite things is when your Facebook memories come up and, you get some pictures of kids or where you were traveling, all those kind of things, which I love. So I love seeing those come up. But what I see come up, particularly around the time I first got on Facebook when my business was only a few years old, is I see things like I've posted nothing like a bit of business planning at 9 p.m. on a Monday night with my lounge room wall covered in butcher's paper where I was doing business planning. And I was proud of that. It was like a badge of honor. And I did that. I did all of those things. I had my business before I had my kids. When my children were born, they were in daycare at 10 weeks old, which some of you will be very unhappy about. Business was first. Everything else was second. I didn't think that that was a problem. I also didn't think that it was impacting me, but it was. And it took a very brave and courageous and vocal staff member to pull me aside one day and say, hey, you're being a bit of a, insert the word. She let me know that I was not being a great leader. I was so caught up in running a million miles an hour to get all the things done that I had stopped prioritizing any kind of self-care. I was not filling up my cup. I was pouring out, and I thought I was being great, and I was being very present, and I was there to support my team, any question, any time. I was doing those things, absolutely. But I was in such a state that I could not see. And it took someone outside of that to pull me aside and say, I've noticed a change. You need to make some change. And at first I thought, oh, that's a bit rude. And then I thought about it, which was absolutely right. I was not being a great leader at that time because I was so in the 100-mile-an-hour race that I'd hit some kind of burnout that I hadn't realized. And really what it came down to is I was not investing time or energy in myself. I was investing time and energy in learning. I was constantly studying, learning to make the business better, to make me better as a leader. I was doing that, sure. But I was not doing anything to actually de-stress, to refill my cup, as I say. And I knew I needed to make a change. And I've been somewhere where, now this is different for everyone. And I want to say this up front. I enjoy exercise. That is a natural thing for me. I do not enjoy dieting. I do not enjoy all those things, but I really, really enjoy exercise. I always have. This was not a new thing. So for me, it was a very natural thing that if I was going to decide to invest in some time for self-care, exercise was going to be where it would be. I used to walk every day. I danced as a kid, all those things. I'd stopped all of that. And it was partly the juggle of business and parenthood, but it was also partly the fact that I stopped prioritizing it. So I decided in that moment to make a change. And I decided to start prioritizing adding exercise back into my routine. Now, for me, that came in the form of me deciding that I would need to learn to run. I'm not a runner at that time. So I started with one of those, 0 to 5K programs, and I just committed time to it. I committed regular time each and every week to running. Now, this doesn't have to be running. Self-care does not have to be exercise at all, because some of you would hate that. But I committed time in my week and ultimately every single day now to doing something that makes me feel good and is for me only. I can tell you the results, and this is any leader, any of the great leaders in the world will tell you the exact same results. It helps them to get focused. It helps them to reduce stress and anxiety and anger. In fact, I'll tell you what, if I haven't been for a run for a few days, someone in my family, either my husband or one of my children, will tell me that I need to go for a run. They see the change in my personality and they tell me to, literally, they will say, go for a run. So it decreases all those stresses and it re-energizes you. I'm going to encourage you that if you are not prioritizing self-care, if you are doing all the work and none of looking after yourself, it is impacting you even if you haven't seen it yet. So whatever self-care looks like for you, I want to encourage you to include it in your day. Now, this does not have to be exercise. This could be a yoga lesson. This could be reading if that's what really, really fills you up. This could be taking a walk. It could be spending time outdoors. It could be spending time with your family. It can be any number of things, but something that is just for you. It could be getting in the kitchen and baking. There are no rules here. It has to be something that is for you and you only, and that does those things. It reduces stress, reduces anxiety, reduces anger, improves mood, improves motivation. Now, there's lots of research to say that exercise is important in doing all of those things, but for you, for now, I just want you to pick something that works for you, and I want you to make it a ritual. I would love you to make it a daily ritual, but I would certainly love you to make at least 3 times a week to get this in your schedule and prioritize it. Make it a non-negotiable. When I started doing this, my team told me that I was much more pleasant to be around, and they really noticed the difference, and they could see that it was an important priority. So if they knew that I'd had a busy morning with the kids, it became okay that I would come into work and say, I'm just going for a run and I'll be back, because they knew that that was going to set me up better for the day, and they were really supportive of that. Here's the crack. When your team feel that you have their back and that you're being a great leader, they perform better for you. They become more engaged. We've talked a lot here about engagement, the importance of employee engagement. It increases productivity by around 17% and increases profitability by upwards of 20%. So important to have an engaged team. Being a present leader gives you employee engagement. It also lets your team know that this is important for them as well, because if they're coming into work stressed to the eyeballs, not looking after themselves, looking after everyone else before themselves, which is so often the case, they're not giving their best at work either. So you want to encourage them to do the same, whatever it looks like for them. And I know a lot of businesses are paying for things like health and wellbeing programs, gym memberships. I think it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. I think everyone needs to find their thing that works for them, and I want you to encourage them to do that too. But by you taking a step back, making this a priority, and setting an example for your team, you are going to have a better workplace. Not only a healthier workplace, but a mentally healthier workplace. Fundamentally, our team want to feel psychologically safe at work. If they can feel safe to say, I need to take a break now, or I need to go for a walk, it makes all the difference. I remember I was working with one business some years ago, and they had 3 directors. You know, if you've been in a business where you've got a board or 3 directors all trying to run the show, from time to time, people clash. One particular director said to me, when that happens and, you know, stuff's hitting the fan and it's full argument mode trying to get our priorities across, he goes for a run. In his work year, he would run for 10 minutes and come back to the meeting, and he could make much sounder decisions coming back to that high stakes, highly heated meeting by just doing a quick sprint down the street. So it doesn't have to take a whole lot of time. I'm not asking you to invest hours and hours. This is about what works for you. But by creating a culture where you as a leader invest in looking after yourself and make self-care a priority, you'll create a more engaged team. You'll create a team that also prioritizes self-care, so it'll be psychologically and physically healthier. They will turn up to work with a different attitude, a different behavior, and they will engage more in your work. They will give more at work every day, and you will ultimately have a more productive and more profitable and more efficient business as a result. So whilst it sounds counterintuitive that I'm telling you to prioritize this when it's not work related, I guarantee you, if you make this a priority, you will see the results. So how to make self-care a priority? Make the time. Put it in your diary, whatever works best for you, but schedule it in. Schedule it when you know you can make it happen, and if you need a diary to make it happen, do it. Get other people to help you become accountable. Tell the team what you're doing. Tell the team why it's important. Tell the team why it's important to them. Tell your husband. Doesn't matter. Get someone to keep you accountable, and keep a log of it if that helps, so that you can tick it off and know that you felt that sense of accomplishment. So a little bit of a left field how-to HR today, not a technical one, but one that I really wanted to share with you because I see it makes such a massive impact on the leaders that I work with and the businesses that they lead. So truly prioritize self-care. It's going to make a massive difference to your team's performance. You're going to watch productivity soar as a result. That's it from me today. I'll be joining you next week for How to HR again, which will of course be episode number 9. In the meantime, as I said, if you are keen to join the People Powered Business Membership, doors open 24th of March. You don't want to miss that date. And in fact, also I'll let you know, if you are interviewing staff at the moment or you want to up your interview skills, I'm running a free masterclass next Tuesday on the 16th of March, Interview Essentials for Employers. I'll pop the link to both of those things underneath this video, and I would love to see you join me in one of those places. That's it from me. Have a fabulous day, and I look forward to seeing you next week.